Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of A Mic on the Podium with me, Michael Seal. If you're a regular listener to this podcast, you will know that I also run a Patreon page, where I've posted interviews, articles and videos all about conductors and the art of conducting. You can now pay for that content annually, and if you choose to do so, you get a 10% discount over your year of subscription. Just click on the link in the show notes attached to this episode and it will take you straight to my Patreon page. Today, I conduct a conversation with a conductor who hails from the Basque Country. He was principal conductor and artistic director of the Bilbao Symphony Orchestra for 9 years and chief conductor of the BBC Philharmonic for 8 years. It's a great pleasure to welcome Juanjo Mena. Juanjo, how are you? Lovely to see you, to speak to you, and to meet you. We've never met. How are you?
Very well. I am very happy to be with you.
Good. Very happy to see you. With everybody, I go right back to the beginning, and you're from the Basque Country in Spain, northern Spain. So tell me what it was like growing up there and how music first came into your life, into your world.
Yes, I live in the north of Spain, the Basque Country, in a little paradise that is close to the mountains and reservoirs, in a very typical house of Basque Country that is caserío. This is stone, wood, strong gardens, and very nice place to relax and study correctly the scores. Yeah, actually, my first instrument was the voice.
Oh, okay.
I was a voice singer in a choir. An altruist teacher came to my class with a flute, and invited us to sing the note of the flute. I did quite well because he chose me to and proposed me if I'd be able to be singing in the choir of the school. No, I was lucky in any case because I think the voice is the better instrument to get started in music.
Yes, yeah.
My parents, after this, when I was in the choir, decided that I should enter in the music school in Vitoria to learn the what to read, the music, all these things. No, and in addition to that, I was lucky to learn an instrument that's very similar to the voice. That was the clarinet. I was clarinet player. This meant organizing the air, the musical line and resonance within the body, which was for me, I think, perfect. And later on, I also studied a bit of piano, double bass, viola.
Wow! So you covered most of the areas of an orchestra. It's only the brass you didn't try.
Yeah. But I must tell you, really, what I want when I was first time to the School of Music, I say I like to play the trumpet. But the teacher was not very nice with me and told me a very strange story that if I start with the clarinet, I can play after 1 year the saxophone very well too, and also I can play the trumpet after 3 years. That is not true, with the saxophone and clarinet, yes, but not with the trumpet,
Yeah, that seems like a story to tell you to go away and not come back, really, doesn't it? the clarinet and saxophone embouchure is nothing like the trumpet at all. Yeah, thank you. So at this, having tried all of those instruments out, I'm assuming in Vitoria you were playing in local bands or local groups, and maybe you encountered a conductor for the first time.
Yeah, I was playing a small autochthon folklore flute, that is the chistu here, in the streets with the dancers, with people enjoying all these things. I was playing for more than 8 years in the with band of the Vitoria. I learned a lot also there. And all these experience are very important for me for the future. When I was 14, my teacher in the choir considered me as one of his more gifted students and invited me to start taking classes in choir conducting. I was sometimes the solo of the choir also, playing the instrument, with the choir. And it's for this, maybe he chose me to do this. And at the age of 16, I founded a girls' choir. there were actually 100 girls, 7 to 14 years old in that choir. You know, I was only 16. This was a very important experience for me. I learned what it means to conduct, interchange energy with the team that is in front of you. These ladies, they didn't know music and only reacted to my vocal samples, inputs. So if I wasn't in tune or didn't pronounce well, they were even less in tune and the test was not good. Okay, I started to understand what is conduct. If you propose things, you must have results and you must listen to the team that is in front of you. I think it's very important. Sometimes conductors, maybe we talk about us, about what we think, and we don't listen to the orchestra. You know, we need really take care about what we are creating.
Well, I mean, and to get that training or to get that experience at the age of 16, I mean, you've got probably 5 years head start on most people. You know, most people will go to a conservatory or conservatoire or a university and study the violin or the trumpet or the clarinet and then decide to become a conductor at maybe 21, 22. So to have that experience from 16 is invaluable, I think.
Exactly. I was always grateful to these ladies, yeah.
So you go eventually to the Madrid Royal Conservatory. And I've read that you studied composition and conducting with 2 different teachers. Did you study anything else there? Did you study any of your instruments there whilst you were there?
I always try to learn a little about the strings. I play a little the viola and also the double bass, to know about the bow, to know what is, you know, I was thinking always after 2 years conducting this girls choir, I decide I want to be a conductor, maybe only for a choir. But later I saw the door to another options than is the orchestra, no? Yes, my teacher of composition was Carmelo Bernaola, a very wonderful man, very acknowledged. I learned a lot with orchestration, instrumentation, you know, all these things that are very important. Also about harmony, about the direction of the music, the tensions. And it was Carmelo Bernaola who made for me the proposition to be also to start to conduct the children's orchestra of the School of Music of Vitoria. Because also I was lucky because at this time the bass composer Carmelo Bernaola, together with the mayor of my town Vitoria, created a new music school that was really modern. We have the second laboratory of electroacoustic in the country. You understand me? At this time. And it was Carmelo who made the propositions to me. For example, with we study composition and we created some pieces, some works. And I was always doing the premiere of these works. You understand me? Any work that we created, we were listening and analyzing what this and that. You know, this was spectacular for me.
Yeah, wonderful. I also read that you studied conducting with Enrique Garcia Ascencio in Madrid. What was he like? What was his teaching style like? I often ask with a teacher I don't know or I don't know the name of, were they very into technique or were they very much more skewed towards studying scores and less about technique, or was it the whole overall package?
Yeah, for me, I have really a triad of teachers. I think this first one that I told you, Carmelo, for composition, orchestration. You know, we did a lot of classes. He told us, okay, we receive a call of Ballerise Rumfunda to create a new piece, and this is the orchestration that we have, the instruments that we have, and this is the accord in forte. What is the distribution of this accord in the orchestra to be the better sound, the much better sound possible? Okay, we were discussing. Now it's in piano. Where we put the piccolo? You know, I was in all these very important things to be a conductor. That is to know about what is the balance between the instruments, the colors, what we can do, what we cannot do, all these things. Carmelo was the wonderful one. But he was also a friend of Maestro Celibidache. They know in Siena years ago. And you know, Enrique Garcia Ascencio was also a student of Celibidache in Siena.
Yeah.
And it's for this Carmelo invited me to go to Madrid to study with Maestro Garcia Ascencio. I must tell you, was an incredible man with a technique, you know, with very, very clear, with, you know, also about Celibidache proportions in the gest, in your arms, when you are conducting all these things. I was learning this from beginning, you know, with Bernaula, with him, and after this, be in touch with the Maestro Celibidache. Yeah.
Well, that's a name that has rarely appeared before on the podcast. Even favourite conductors of yesteryear, his name doesn't appear very often, if at all. And it's a name I'm intrigued by. I mean, I think I would have been frightened to death to have met him and to be taught by him and mentored by him. What was Celibidache like? I mean, the films I've watched, he comes over as being extremely intense. But maybe that's because there was a film camera on him. What was he like in private, and what sort of things did he teach you?
Okay, as I'm talking with you, the theory is now there, the orchestration, all these things. The technique was there. I was needing another things. Music is not only technique and knowledge about the score, about the orchestration. No, you must be creative. And I was within in I don't know how many rehearsals, you know. He take the Munich Philharmonic for 4 hours to rehearse the 4 Leçons of Strauss without singer, 4 hours, making this amazing, you know.
Yeah.
The construction is lower to create sonority, new sonorities, to be open the doors for searching something, discover something, balance the instruments, talking about a lot of things that create an amazing atmosphere, okay? But always basis in an amazing knowledge,
yeah. And was he, did he easily give you advice, or was it mainly through you sitting and watching him work? Or do you know what I mean? I've seen these films where people are almost sat at his knees and he's giving them advice. So he would do that with you.
I was in this big team around him, listening, talking about reduction in music, about proportions in music, about tensions, about, you know, all these things, speaking. Yeah, it's fine. But for me, at the end, the more important thing was to look him, creating amazing transition in a movement, or creating an incredible sonority that I never believed I was able to have these 4 pianos, for example, you know. At the point of view personal, the approach of him with the musicians, or with us, with the students, were always very, 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 very strong. You know, but was always because he know what is to be conductor, and he know what the level is needing to be conductor. And he was always pushing us and more to try to obtain the best of us. But sometimes I recognize that some friends or some people that I knew of this team was really fired by him, you know, instead of me. Not fired directly, but with all this information, not, you know, very strong and always very, very strong with them. They never, some of them know very well about phenomenology, about reduction, about all these things. Are people that know more than me about it, but they can't conduct, because they were completely stopped by Maestro, you know. You cannot conduct. It's for this one more time, my experience in the past, conducting. I survived maybe because I was always only 2 weeks there and came back home and take my team and conduct. I was conducting always, you know what I mean? I came back there and no, this is not good. No, what are you doing? No, don't teach this, that. No. Okay. But after this, I go home and I have my school orchestra or my choir to make music.
Yeah.
I think it was the difference to survive.
Yes. So, yeah, I mean, I can see that you know, you go to these sessions with somebody like Celibidache and you learn his principles and his ideals and his ways and his thoughts, but then when it actually comes to physically conducting, he can stop somebody's confidence by just being too overbearing and too hard on them. And so, yeah, they have all of the things going on in their mind, but when it actually comes to moving their arms, they're frightened to death. Yeah, and for you to get out of there after 2 weeks and go back and just conduct, because of course the great thing about conducting is that when you're doing it, you haven't got time to think about technical things. No,
you are thinking, you are not conducting. Finish.
Yeah, you have to just get on with rehearsing, and you're not thinking about, well, my wrist needs to be doing this and that gesture needs to be doing that. If you're thinking that, you're not rehearsing and you're not conducting.
Exactly.
Looking ahead, you talk about conducting your orchestra back home, and you become associate conductor of the, I don't know how to pronounce this word, Euskadi? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, Euskadi, yeah. Euskadi.
Yeah, Euskadi Symphony Orchestra in around 97. And then the big break comes in 99 when you get to be artistic director and principal conductor of the Bilbao Symphony Orchestra. How did that come about? I mean, was that through, as you said, going home between sessions with Celibidache and whatever, and just working a lot in around your home region?
Exactly. The mayor of my city in Vitoria decided to start with a youth orchestra in Vitoria-Gasteiz. And I, of course, at the same time, I created a chamber orchestra in the Basque Country with professionals, people for the Euskadi Orchestra, only with the strings, to learn more with them and to learn a lot about the strings. No? And then the Basque government called me to create and conduct the National Youth Orchestra of the Basque Country. After 2 years with this orchestra, that was spectacular, a lot of wonderful players. This was the based on the external results with the National Orchestra than put me in the professional Basque National Orchestra. No? They take me, the Euskadi Symphony Orchestra called me to be an assistant conductor of the orchestra. And at the same time, I started to work with the Bilbao Symphony Orchestra, with a choir of my city that supposed to be 25 years old, and invited me, okay, we want to do the Requiem Cherubini for Men's. Are you able to conduct us? We will pay the Bilbao Symphony to do it. And I did this project and was spectacular. Immediately the Bilbao Symphony re-invited me several times. And after years, after only 3 years, I was appointed chief conductor because the musicians want to do. In 1999, you know, the Bilbao was an amazing city. That was a creative time in Bilbao. The synergy in the city was incredible in this time with the new Guggenheim Museum, and also with the new concert hall. You know, I did the inauguration of the new hall that is spectacular, close to the Guggenheim. You know, and I was there, you know, with all my time, with orchestra that need time, and I spent more than 28, 30 weeks per year with them in the first seasons, you know.
Wow.
I take any single thing, any concert in the village, any didactic concert, I take it to change the color, to have to establish what is the tension that the orchestra need to be better.
Yeah. Well, I've played in that new hall when I was playing with the CBSO, and we went there. I cannot remember when, but I remember the hall because, as you said, it's very close to the Guggenheim Museum. Yeah. And yeah, it was a lovely hall, really, really, really nice hall. So if you were spending that many weeks a year with your orchestra in Bilbao, I'm assuming you were doing only a few guest conducting appearances, because by now people will have heard of this guy Mena, who's now conducting in Bilbao, and they'll want to book you to go elsewhere across Europe and across the world. So I'm assuming at the beginning you weren't doing much guest conducting because you were spending so much time in Bilbao.
Yeah, but I was learning a lot. You know, the orchestra needs a conductor with time for them. I did sectionals, you know, I did programs with 2 weeks, you know, to big symphonies. to do the things correctly, well, with tuning, with it was very, very important time for me. And when I went out, first time I think was in 2004. I take it in 1999.
Yeah.
But I went there. I went to Bergen. Then later appointed me as principal guest, and I went there with a scores that I knew,
Right.
a lot. I knew what the second clarinet will be too loud and there, and this was the only way. I talk now to a lot of young conductors that came to me. This orchestra invited me to conduct, Leipzig, the Gewandhaus Leipzig. I will conduct the Gewandhaus Leipzig. I say, what? which piece? I say, Eroica of Beethoven. Eroica of Beethoven? Did you conduct before? No, but I am studying. I say, what? What are you doing? Don't go. But the managements sometimes now take these people with the prices of the concourse, of the mother competitions or anything, and put in these places. Then they mustn't be there. It's too early. They didn't know enough the score.
Well, I personally agree with that very much. That having won a competition, the young conductors are given incredible concerts, but also that's partly their decision to accept them. I'm much more of a slow burner. I didn't start conducting really until I was 35. I didn't go fully time professional until I was 44. But then that means that I've taken a long time to really learn things. I think if I'd been doing that when I was 25 and I was suddenly conducting, whoever, Bilbao, Birmingham, or Leipzig, and I was doing the Eroica for the first time, I'd be a nervous wreck. But they seem to get through it. Maybe it's because they've got the title of competition winner over their head, and they that's how they cope. But yeah, I think your approach in Bilbao is one that I really like. I don't think music directors spend enough time with their orchestras, forming how they play, and they spend 1 or 2 weeks and then jet off around the world, or at least they used to. It's not happening at the moment, but who knows what it's going to turn up like. You said it yourself that you were principal guest in Bergen from 2007 and also principal guest for the Teatro Carlo Felice in Genoa. I can't even say it. Genoa. For 3 years from 2007. But then the big job change is finishing in Bilbao, and 2 years later you become chief conductor of the BBC Philharmonic. How was that meeting them for the first time and then taking over the role as chief conductor? It's an orchestra I've conducted many times. I love them. They're a wonderful, wonderful group of musicians. But what was it like meeting them for the first time?
It was a joy for me to be invited there to conduct them. And the first meeting was in the old studios in Oxford Road, And I remember very well, I was in shock, working so hard, so fast. For me was okay. I did also in 2005, 7 more guests conducting, and I discovered that the level is this one that I want, and I must try to go to the high level orchestras to learn more and more. I recognize that I was also dumping doing a guest invitations, But when I arrived there, they were searching. I was very strong with them. The program that I was doing first time I knew very, very, very well.
Yeah.
And immediately Richard Bigley and Mike George came to me to say, orchestra is very, very happy with you. Are you interested? We are searching now the new chief conductor. Are you interested to be in trial for 2 years with different repertories and to know what is and decide what happened later? No. Yes, of course. I am really happy to do this. Yeah.
Well, it speaks volumes. Just before you go on and tell me what your time in Manchester was like, but it speaks volumes that both in Bilbao and in Manchester, the orchestra said they were really happy and they really wanted you. Many times, conductors get offered jobs with orchestras, and the decision has come from the management or from the board, and has not come from the players. As a conductor, it means so much more when you're told look, the players really like you, and then you think, well, this is a rubber stamp. I like them as well, and that's great. Isn't it? Don't you agree that to me, it can be the only way I could ever accept a job is if the players really wanted me.
Yeah, exactly. I knew another young conductors in Spain in the principal orchestras, and I told the manager, why you put this man there? He conducted the orchestra before? No, he didn't conduct the orchestra. What? You admit that this can be a chief conductor without conducted the orchestra before? This is not possible. This is really wrong start and wrong ender, of course.
Yeah. So what was Manchester like? What do you remember of those years there, 8 years there, big projects, I'm sure. But also, I know, because I've worked with every BBC orchestra, you get to do some weird repertoire, also some mainstream repertoire, but, there's a lot comes on your plate, doesn't it?
Exactly. This was a very, very strong time of study. I spent more time than ever in my life. Before, I was maybe more creative or more, with more expression or more musical, or what to say. But I discovered, hey, now this is another history. We have now a Bentley here, we have a big car, yes. A Bentley, and you must manage this correctly, As for this, I learned a lot. More of the things is to know exactly what is written in the score. Any single small thing, because you must know this to know what to do with this, And of course, as a radio orchestra, BBC's with the radio, you are always putting all the marks, what the conductor want to be really correct when you play for the microphones, and for all these amazing 20,000 people listening in the BBC Radio 3, and it's for this. Only in the first year, maybe I was a little surprised with some things of this, but later, no more. For example, when I recognize now my scores in the times of Bilbao, I mark my marks were really nothing. I saw this now. In my score, and it's plenty of information and this and that, and this is less than this one. I was really a better professional when I started really to understand BBC feel, and we started to make good music, and we started to create a beautiful concerts. Now I think BBC was the center of my career.
Well, I was going to ask you a separate question, which we sort of talked about before I pressed record, which is, as part of your role with the BBC Philharmonic, you will encounter young conductors who come from the Royal Northern College of Music, and part of their study on that conducting course is to come and assist you at the BBC Philharmonic, but also at the Halle, and also at the Royal Liverpool Philharmonic, just 30 miles down the road. So, and it was there that you met Alpesh Chauhan, but you would have met many, many, many other conductors. Is teaching that something that you enjoy or in that case, mentoring and going on? Do you teach now, or do you intend to teach in the future?
No, I am not interested in teaching. I think it's very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe from my experience, I know that it's very, very difficult to translate what is to be conductor and how many things you must control as a teacher, or you must have a very clear things, and also I want to say the options to change the things of the musicians or the students that came to you. What I do now is I open my rehearsals to the students, and I spoke with them in the pauses, after the pauses, in all the day. I invite them to eat, to talk, because it was what I was learning, making music, listening in rehearsals, speaking with this, with that. You take more information about what it's really this, And I talk a lot of them about my experience in the past, about what I did this, why you cannot do this. You cannot do a string quartet to make this piece before you go to, I try to invite them to think about what is the way to arrive correctly to be a conductor, or what was my way. And but I, for example, about the technique, I can tell them a lot of things about the technique, but I cannot be a teacher of technique, because this is very difficult. Your body, your reaction of the intentions that I propose to you, this is very complex. I think it's better to talk about. I told all of them after the rehearsal, tell me 5 things that you didn't like. If you are a conductor, you must have 5 things of the rehearsal that you don't like it. Always it's difficult for them to say bad things to them, but I accept very clear this and say, yes, true, this was wrong. I spoke too much here. Why the tension of the ambient in the orchestra changed now in this bar? What I said, I was not at home or in the hotel thinking I will say this in the minute 25 of the rehearsal to enjoy people. No, I was conducting. I felt that we were needing something extra musical to open the door to another place. And I said, because I was living with this in the last years, I know what is, it's inside of me. I am not thinking to do it, And I try to transmit them this, that they mustn't be thinking. And also the difference between rehearsals and concerts. And the rehearsals, you are there controlling this and that and those and that, but music is another thing. And if you are doing the same when you are conducting in concert, okay, this is not the way to make music.
No. Well, it sounds like you give them everything that you can give them, and that you want to give them. And sort of along the lines of what some people have said about this podcast is by having 2 conductors talking to each other about conducting, that people are hearing things and they're learning things, and they're learning from listening to your experiences and mine. And I think, just sitting down over a coffee or a meal with a conductor, you can learn things. It doesn't have to be as, what you do with your wrist, and it doesn't have to be what you do with your knees. It can be just, if you say that sentence, something like that at this point of the rehearsal, something might happen. If you use this phrase, be ready for people to get angry, or something. It could be just as simple as that. So I think you offer them everything that you can, and I think that's great. If you are a young conductor, a conductor just starting out, or you are studying conducting, you may like to know that by subscribing to my Patreon page, it's possible to gain access to all manner of conducting-based articles, chats and material. And in some of the higher levels of subscription, you could also get personal Zoom meetings or even conducting lessons from myself. Subscriptions start at just £5 a month, and I'm currently offering a 10% discount for anyone who subscribes with a one-off annual payment. Which means that if you opt for the highest subscription level, you'll get 6 hours of one-to-one conducting lessons, 4 personal Zoom meetings where we can chat about anything to do with conducting, and 4 group Zoom meetings as well as all of the other content on the site. Details are in the show notes below, attached to this episode. Now, back to my chat with Juanjo Mena. You just mentioned, a couple of topics back, about your scores from Bilbao being with not much in, and then your scores from the BBC Times maybe with a lot more written in. It's a question that conducting geeks and also people love me to ask, and every conductor I ask them, when you come to learn a score, do you sit at a piano or do you just sit in silence at your desk? And do you start from the beginning and work your way through, or do you look at the overall picture and zero in? And do you use colours to write in, markings, red, blue, black? How is it now? You just said you mark more in, but do you only use pencil? What do you do, Juanjo?
Yeah, I use pencils. Yeah, I in the beginning was no colors at all. Was only with the normal, simple black thing or any. No more than this, and very, very bad material also in this time. But now, I use a lot of colors. Yellow for important things about the tempis, the change of the tempis or riternandos or crescendis. Also about small things as take the mute out, or all these little things that sometimes is not so clear. This is in yellow to be. But more than this, I use pencils of different colors, and I try to understand and mark the distribution of the musical tension in the score. This is the first thing. I don't go to the piano. In my table, I look the score, I analyze what is the register that they are playing. What is this? This is the principal phrase. This is, but this is the principal phrase. No, is mezzo piano written here. Is there this? I discover, and with this, after this, I start to mark where are the entrances, important entrances, or what is the instrument that is leading there, but always putting in comparison with another things, and it's plenty of less, to put a little line, no positive, negative, less here, more there, that. And after this, I use a lot, I go to the dynamics. For me also is the confirmation of the directions of the phrases or the balance or the agogic, what I talk about the agogic, which is the change of the movements of the tempis that create different things, Okay, do a very good diminuendo, don't do ritenuto, and this will be amazing. And in a lot of rehearsals, I remember it's for example, Brahms 3, when we go to the last coda, then it's a lot of activity in the strings, but
yes.
It's gonna go to nothing, And I remember rehearsals, talking there. What is this bow? No. We will do now 5 bars bow down. Yeah. A lot of people, Yes, please. 5 bars bow down. Yes, I know that you think that I am crazy. Go do this. And and immediately they do this 5 bow that is really strong to control. But the amazing diminuendo that you obtain after this.
Yeah.
And some of them, some orchestras tell me, okay, maestro, we change, we put this bow. No, don't put this bow. This bow is terrible. It's terrible. It's not possible. Now you have listened what atmosphere we created. Search the bow and you have this sound. You understand me?
Absolutely, yeah.
It's a lot of things that are very psychological. We can say, piano here. What's this? Sorry. Sometimes I saw orchestra playing in passage that is in piano. I felt that they are playing in mezzo forte. I say, I love your mezzo forte. You can say, please, no, it's why you play. No, it's piano. No, you say, no, beautiful mezzo forte. Can we play what is written original? And you obtain things that always is relative, in music, and this is very difficult to manage.
Well, I might steal your 5 bars of One Long Down Bow at the end of Brahms 3. I think that sounds like a brilliant plan. And do as you say, which is, you do it 5 bars down and then say, like, you've heard it how I want it to sound. Now do it with the bowings that you have. I do that with other places where I ask orchestras sometimes play them all down bows. So you get this ga 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 ga, and then they look at you and say, do you want to change the bowing? I say, no, I don't, but I want it to sound like that with the bowing that you've got. All down bows there would be ridiculous. It's also incredibly tiring. But yeah, I think the other point I wanted to make is, and it very quickly for young conductors who might be listening, when Juanjo and myself are talking about putting colours in scores, they're our scores. We've bought them. Don't put yellow, red, blue, black, pink, green, or anything into a higher score, because you will get into big trouble. I mean, looking at Juanjo there, he's nodding away. And also, it's the same if you get scores from the BBC library. We either would learn it off a copy with our colours in, or with the ones that they give you. You just have to just use pencil lightly and learn to conduct off both. Juanjo, it is 10 questions time. And I start with, what sound or noise do you love, and what sound or noise do you hate?
I like the sound of the sea waves, or the birds singing in the morning in the garden of my home.
And a sound you don't like or even hate?
I hate the sound of guns, in particular that of the machine guns. When I was only 11 years old, in times of the dictator Franco, I saw the police killing 5 workers in front of my home, and I never forgot this.
Wow, my God. I'm sure you wouldn't forget it. Wow, that's an answer we've never had before, and thank God. But yeah, what a amazing experience. Yeah. Wow. I'm somewhat taken aback. Well, let's hope the next question is a bit easier to answer. If you had 24 hours free, what would you spend it doing?
I would spend this time with my family,
Mm.
walking in the forest around our home, or cooking a tortilla de patata, and trying to balance the time that I am not with them when I am working out.
Who would be a favorite conductor of yesteryear?
I would say Sergiu Celibidache for his creativity, Claudio Abbado for his energy and knowledge, manipulating and ordering the energy he received from the orchestra. Magic, I think. Eugene Mavrinsky for his commitment with the music, what is written. Maris Jansons for his beauty and liveliness.
Well, there's 4 incredible names from the past. I mean, what brilliant choices. And also your reasoning is wonderful as well. The question that some conductors find slightly harder is the next one, which is, can you name your favorite current conductor or conductors?
In my time in Munich, I saw the meetings between Maestro Barenboim and Maestro Celibidache. I must say, this man, Daniel Barenboim, for the entertainment and control of the harmonic direction and of music and text in opera, I think is very close to what was my feeling when the Maestro Celibidache was conducting. For me, the current live conductor is him. I was talking with him when I did my debut with Berlin Phil, and I was in the morning with him listening to a rehearsal of Strauss, Electra, and the work that he did in these 4 hours in the morning with no stop, was incredible. About the text, about the tension, the harmony. I think he's a really incredible musician. Yeah.
What is the hardest work you have ever conducted?
From the technical point of view, when I was 18, I conducted a choir of 2,000 kids in a big hall with a small chamber ensemble. To have the capacity to control 2,000 kids with silence, attention, discipline, and just moving a little one finger and obtain the results was spectacular. For me, technically it was complex, but was spectacular. Physically, I might say, so any BBC Philharmonic concert was physically demanding, I remember one of them that was, the 2 ballets, Mike George and Richard Bigley were amazing people thinking about projects. Simon Webb the same, And we did, I remember in Nottingham, a piece of Magnus Lindberg, Bibo, at the same time, Daphne Chloe Ballet Complete and Rite of Spring Complete, This was spectacular, physically, terrible, but wonderful at the same time. And emotionally, maybe my last concert as chief conductor of Bilbao Symphony Orchestra, when I decided it's time to go. This is not the way to be better, to have better orchestra now. My decision was, okay, it's time to go.
Well, I can imagine that was rather emotional after 9 years of being there. That BBC Philharmonic concert just sounds. I wish I'd been there, but as a player, that sounds like it went on for ages. Definitely a complete Daphne and Chloe and the Rite of Spring's only 33, 34 minutes, but yeah, that's a tough concert. That's a really tough concert. No wonder that's in your list. When traveling abroad to conduct, what item could you not leave home without?
A package of jamon iberico. This you can survive anywhere.
Yeah.
And it's full. I take with me.
A pack of Iberica ham. You always have a pack of Iberica ham.
Yes.
Wow. Well, therefore, if I ever see you, and you've just arrived in the UK, I should be saying, "Come on, break out the ham." I love Iberica ham. So I'll be interested to see whether that plays any part in your answer to number 10. We'll see. What is the one thing you would change about being a conductor?
I would want to have my family with me all the time. This is the only thing that I would.
And do they come with you sometimes, or is it just too difficult?
Sometimes now the children are a little higher years old, and it's maybe more easy. But in the beginning was very strong to have two different lives.
Mm. And it is exactly that. It is two different lives, that you go away and you do your thing and you come back home, and and whilst, it's very tempting to say yes to everything, there comes a point when 3 or 4 weeks on the road, you can't wait to get back home. I mean, my wife has come with me on some journeys when I've been to Argentina, for instance, a country she'd always wanted to go to. And so she came down with me when I worked down there for 10 days. But it's not always possible. They have other lives. And frankly, if they went with you everywhere, you'd never earn any money, the amount of cost of flights and hotels. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But yeah, I have the same feeling. There are so many places I wish my 2 girls could have come and seen with my wife, but just not possible.
Yeah.
What profession other than your own would you like to attempt?
I would say a Formula One pilot. To be in the Mercedes team with Lewis Hamilton. This will be perfect. I love cars. Yeah.
Are you? I mean, obviously you love watching Formula One, but are you the sort of conductor who, I have friends who've got cars, and in the UK you can take them on a track day, where you go and drive your car around a racetrack. Was that the sort of thing you would do?
No, I'm crazy. I drive really fast always, and it's dangerous, I know, but I need sometimes. Our work. We are there doing this, that, and go, and we must take down. And when you are at home, you want to do all the things possible for the family. And sometimes I am the best taxi driver in the world.
Well, don't tell anybody, and I'm sure nobody's listening, but I love driving fast as well. Yeah, the journeys home after concerts from places like Bournemouth or Exeter or Truro, I'm sure if the average speed gun was on, I might be in trouble. But I didn't tell you that, and that's not public knowledge. If the world were to end tonight, what would be your choice of final meal and drink?
I would choose a dinner with my family at El Cano restaurant in Guetaria. It's only 20 kilometers from San Sebastian.
Mm-hmm.
The first course would be gambas a la parrilla, outside, grilled prawns, grilled foie with apple sauce. For the main course, I will choose grilled turbot.
Mm-hmm.
As a dessert, cheese ice cream, yes. To drink, we'll opt for Chacoli. This is our special white wine in Basque Country.
That sounds amazing. Turbot and white wine, yeah, that I'm with you. And grilled prawns on the barbecue. It sounds terrible. It actually sounds delicious. It's making my mouth water. Juanjo, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you. And I look forward to hopefully one day in the future meeting you over a glass of your Basque white wine and having a chat about conducting.
Welcome. Came here to Basque Country. Yes, please.
A Mic on the Podium was devised and produced by Michael Seal, with music by Ben Dawson. Next time, I chat to an Israeli conductor who's also a composer and a novelist. He's held title positions in Israel, Spain, Germany, Italy and Austria, in both the opera house and on the concert stage. In 2019, he followed Juanjo Mena and became the chief conductor of the BBC Philharmonic in Manchester. But until then, bye-bye.